Welcome back. You probably can't imagine how fun these are for me to do. I look forward to doing these. So, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about plant cuttings, taking plants from gardens that are not yours. Now, there's a few different kinds of scenarios as far as like what is a plant, a garden that doesn't belong to me. That could be a subject that would define making it okay or not. So basically what we're talking about is taking plants from a garden. What I mean by plants is those little viney plants that you can regrow at home, or even flowers that have already bloomed, roses or anything like that. But specifically today we're going to be talking about plants that you can clip and then go home and put them in a vase with water, and they'll root and they'll start growing, and you can make other plants with those plants. Is it okay to take plant cuttings from other gardens, from flower beds that are not yours? I stalled because I said flower beds. Are these considered plant beds? I'm not sure. I'm not a gardener. I'm not hardcore into plants, but this came up the other day in my life, where we saw some beautiful plant beds. I hope that's what they're called. I'm sorry if they're not. And I had to make a decision as far as me taking the plants or not. So this is what happened. Just the other day, about a week and a half ago, my wife, my daughter, and myself, so that's Sujell, Lynn, and myself, went to this really cool shopping mall, whatever they call it, where you're at, in Huntington Beach, California. Really cool place, really nice place. I like going just because when you get to the top level, you can actually see the water. It's right on the front of the beach. You're like waterfront. You cross the street, your feet are touching sand. You know, it's a pretty big street you got to cross, but once you cross that street, you're in the sand. Anyways, when you get to the top level, you can actually see the ocean. So it's a cool shopping center to go to. And we went in, parking structures underground. We parked their car. We got our ticket, whatever. Went up the escalators. And the moment you get to the ground level, which is where most of the stores are, where it starts, then the top level, there's more stores and dining and then the view and all that. But that ground level is where the stores are. There was these flower beds that were so pretty. And they had these plants that were just like, these plants were very rich in color and very pretty. And my wife, Sujell, and Lynn are into plants. If you kind of go through my videos, I'm sure you'll see it in the background. Matter of fact, you got one plant right there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could see I do have one of their plants, one of their babies in my work area. And they're into plants. They got a lot of plants. They're throughout the house. The garden in the front, all them. The plants inside, all them. They really have gotten really good. And they have a green thumb. Suhey's dad is like hella into gardening, and anything he plants just works. So it comes just in it's in their genes. And they're really good at these plants. So when they see a new plant that they don't have, it's a big deal. Or when they see a plant that's well groomed and well taken care of and well nurtured, it really catches their eye because they know the time, effort, and skill that it takes to get it to look that way. So when they turned the corner and they saw these flower beds just looking sharp, they were like, wow, look at those plants, they're beautiful. And they went up to them, and there were colors that they hadn't seen before. So between them two, it was a little conversation, a little moment that they had. Like, wow, look at this one. Look at the leaves on this one. Look at the size of the leaves on this one. Look at the shape. Wow, feel how thick these leaves are, and look at the color of this one. There was like a green one, and there was a yellow one, and I think a white or red one. I can't remember, but they were just in awe. All I could see was like, wow, these plants are pretty. But they got into like the little nooks and crannies and details of the plants. They were even, I think, dropping names as far as like what, I don't know, strain. I don't know if that's what you consider it, or what family they were from, and how they were, how they could be remade or mixed with another plant. I don't know, but anyways, they were talking plant life stuff, and it was really cool. So that was a setup, and then that's when my daughter Lynn says, "If only I could have a piece of these, and I could make more, propagate. I think they call it. I could take them home, make more, fill my room, fill the living room, fill the dining room." Gives them to my grandma. She didn't say all this. I'm just kind of giving the example of what's possible by just getting a little piece. And all she wanted was like, if only, that's what she said. She only said, if only I could have a little piece of each and one of these, that would be so awesome. Then she moved on, looking for our store or for their store that they wanted to shop. And they were moving on to that. I think they had some stuff that they wanted to exchange and then shop for some other stuff. I, being her dad and loving her so much, and my wife as well, the first thing I thought is like, how can I get my hands on a piece, a clipping, a cutting of each one of these plants? And the first thought was, we'll just go up to the plant and, clip it off. How I do weeds at the house all the time. I know it's not difficult. You go up to the plant and you gently, and with a lot of being a lot of carefulness, and you could clip away, break away a piece of each one. Very discreet little, 3-4 inch piece of each plant, and we'd be good to go. And that would be one. But then I was like, I kind of went up to I walked up to, first they went to the store, and then I said, you know what, I walked in with them, and I noticed that these stores were really smaller. It wasn't like a huge department store. These are kind of just like smaller stores. And there were some folks, and there was a beautiful day. There were some folks in there shopping. So I thought, you know what, one less person here that really isn't shopping here is probably a good thing. This would allow for the folks that really are shopping there to have one less human there. Will give them a little bit more elbow space, give them a little bit more comfortability as they're shopping. So I figured I'm going to wait outside, right outside the door. While I was out there, it was like, okay, back to the plant thing. Let me go walk around these planters and see what ideas I can have. And yeah, the first initial thought, like I said, was I could just grab a piece of each one, 3 pieces, boom, put them in our bags, we're gone, we're done deal. Nothing happened here, it's all good. But that could make you feel some sort of way the rest of the day, or it could sit in the back of your mind and you don't even know it. And there's a lot of stuff that you can get into the details in explaining why I didn't end up doing that and didn't end up clipping them and just taking them. But just the very simple reason, without getting into like the details of it, it's to avoid the risk of how it could make me feel, consciously or unconsciously. It could sit in the back of my mind for the rest of the day. It could make me feel a certain way that I don't even notice, but later decisions that I would do later on that day could be affected by how taking those clippings could make me feel. And like I said, there's a bunch more stuff that you could get into. The ethicalness of it. It's not my garden. Did I ask? All those. But we won't get into that. It's just a very simple way that I was thinking is, Like, no, I don't want to do it because of how it could make me feel. So then I thought, well, shoot, if I ask somebody, excuse me, very beautiful flower beds or plant beds, whatever, may I have a piece? And, in a perfect world, the person who I would ask would probably be like a groundskeeper or a maintenance person, could even take out their clippers and say, here, let me hook you up. I got you, blah, blah, blah. I would love for these flowers to, I would love for these plants to spread throughout and grow in other people's homes. It's a beautiful thing that folks want to make plants in their home, create more plants. And it could work out that way. Or he could say, sorry, no, we're not allowed to give out these plants. It could go either way, but I would ask. And it's a 50-50 shot. He or she could say yes, and I score, and I feel good about myself. And he feels good because someone asked about their plants. Or he says, sorry, we can't. And it's, okay, sounds good. So I waited and kind of walked around the big garden area in hopes to see someone in a uniform or in one of those little electrical golf carts driving around, or maybe pushing around a little maintenance cart. Anybody that worked there that looked like they were not of a specific store, but maybe was just in charge of the whole shopping center, I was willing to ask. And as much as I waited, I didn't see nobody. And then I had the idea of, well, but what about if I walk around and pay attention and look around to see maybe a little kid, little kids are little kids. They're just maybe walking around the planter and maybe grabbed one of the little vines and yanked it and just kind of left it there, Mom or Dad kind of came and said, no, don't touch the plants. It kind of shook it off their hand. And I told myself this very interesting, detailed story about some little kid ripping out a couple of pieces of plants. And if they're just laying there, I think it would be appropriate for me to kind of help out the overall good and clean up and take those 2-3 strands that are just loose. They're like suffering because they're not in the dirt. And I could take them. So I walked around. There was 2 of them and 2 planters there. And I walked around and kind of paying attention and looking into the dirt area and kind of looking on the little brick area to see if anything was loose. And I was very, very carefully looking for these plants. And as I was looking for them, I kind of took a moment and thought, wait a minute. There's no signs here that say, if you see any loose plants, you're welcome to take them. If a little kid ripped out a plant, dear public, you're welcome to take those little pieces of plants or flowers that somebody may have accidentally broke off. I didn't see no signs. I didn't see no signs that said that. So there again, I am fabricating these stories that are making it okay. Bottom line, if I don't ask somebody that has the okay to tell me yes or no, I can't take them. Despite what story I tell myself. Yes, of course, it doesn't say also do not take them. But it goes back to what I said a minute ago, I think, is I didn't take them because of the way it could possibly make me feel. At the very least, the rest of that day. But it could affect me for days or weeks, not even knowing. And other decisions and other thoughts that I have from that point forward. So I didn't take it. As much as I walked around and tried to tell me stories about justifying how I was helping the environment in the life of this planet in keeping those stranded strands from drying out, I stopped looking. Not that there was any. I didn't see any, but still, I can't do it. That's not right. And at the moment that I said that, And I said, you know what? I'm not taking these plants. Whether I cut them off with my fingernail, whether I break them off, whether some little kid broke them off, whether a bird came by and clipped it, or a dog or a cat or something just came by and broke it off, and it's just laying there. It doesn't say here that plants are for the public, so I'm not taking any plants. They're very beautiful. Hats off to whoever's taking care of these plants and whoever select them and how they selected them and where they found them, all that good stuff. Good for them. They look beautiful. Great work. I'm glad you brought a smile to my wife Sujell and my daughter Lindsey's face, because they were impressed of how you got this going. But to me, I'm not taking any of these plants. The moment I made that decision, I had a little bit of a sigh of relief. Like, okay, I've cut myself from the duties of having to figure out or having to justify how I'm going to take these plants and make it okay. And the moment I said, no, I'm not going to take them, I was a little sigh of relief. I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to do that task no more. I don't have to do that deed no more. I don't have to come up with something creative that I could tell myself in here or in here to making it okay for me to take these plants. And I thought, okay, well, let me just look at them and pay attention, see if there's a little tag maybe that says their name so I know what they're called. I could take a picture of the name. And no tag, no nothing. And as we were, right about that time, they were done. The girls were done with their shopping, so they walked out of the store. And I was like, you know what? I couldn't find anybody to ask. It's like, ask what? I was looking for like a groundskeeper or something, someone in maintenance that I could ask if it was okay for me to take a couple of strands of these plants. I was like, did you find anybody? I was like, no. She's like, oh, okay. Well, tell you what. It's like, if we want them, get a good visual picture of what it is that I want. It's like, okay, I want those plants. I want that white one, that super dark green one, and that, I believe it was yellow, and that yellow one. I go, I want them at my house. And the moment, I believe, at the moment you say you want something, something happens that starts leading you towards getting them. How? That's not so much up to me. I'll do what it takes. Order them online, buy them at the nursery, buy them at the hardware stores that have a garden center. Someone gives them to me. That's not so much up to me. I'll take advantage of an opportunity, such as they have them for sale, I have the money, I have the place to put them, I buy it. But that's not so much up to me. All I have to do is want it first. So that's all I did. I looked at the plants, I touched them, I could almost tell you I smelled them, because the aroma of these plants were so powerful, because they were so, like I said, so juicy, for lack of better terms. I was like, I want the yellow ones, I want the green ones, I want my wife and my daughter to have the yellow ones, the green ones, and these white ones. I think they were white. I say they think they were white because they were white with a little bit of red. So I don't know if we decided to call them red, pink, or white, but we'll just call them white. And that's all I did. Is like, I want them. Now all I have to do is be patient. And I can guarantee you that those plants will show up in my house at the perfect time. I say perfect because, again, I don't put time on any of these goals. I don't like to put time. And I didn't make none of this up. This I learned through all like mentors that I've met in my life. And whether mentors that are still alive or mentors that documented this in books or videos or whatever. But if you just want something, you want it, and then you become patient, and then you pay attention to see and take advantage of opportunities where you can get what it is that you want. So in this case, I put myself at ease by not taking the plant from the store. and at the same time put into process the act of obtaining these flowers by simply by wanting them and having the belief that I'm going to get them at the perfect time. So think about it. Next time you see some beautiful plants, anybody out there who's into having plants in their home or in their office, think about it. Is it ethical? Is it the right thing to take the plant cuttings? Is it the right thing? You got to answer that question. You got to answer it for your heart. You got to answer it. Is it a public place? Maybe the answer would be different if it was a public park. Because a public park, some of my tax dollars go into that public park. So I can maybe carefully, or maybe not. Maybe it's the same thing. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. That's all a question that you got to answer for yourself in here. Am I breaking ethical laws? Am I breaking laws that govern the law of the land? Is there rules at this establishment, at this store? Or just simply what I told myself? How is it going to make me feel the rest of the day? How is it going to affect my little tiny choices that I'm going to do the rest of that day or the rest of that week or the rest of my life? It does something. Every thought, every choice, every activity does make you react in a certain way that sometimes you're not even aware of. This is stuff that just kind of little tiny pieces of little tiny ingredients that go into the back of your mind that could affect you in a certain type of way. And if it's something that doesn't make you feel 100% good, pleasant, joyful, if it makes you feel a certain sort of way, it could take away a little tiny piece of pleasantness and make you make another decision later on that day that maybe doesn't benefit you in the long term. Think about that. How will doing this affect me the rest of the day? And then you feel 100 and you take full responsibility for your decisions. But be careful. Be nice to the plants. 'Cause sometimes these plants, a lot of these gardeners take a lot of time, a lot of effort to get them to look the way they look. So be nice to them. Don't go out there and just start slapping them around and yanking stuff out like nothing matters or who cares, they're just plants. No, these plants, it takes someone and it takes energy to get them look nice and well groomed. To have somebody just come in and start yanking, be nice to the plants, because if they caught your eye, someone had something to do to keep them all nice and squared up. They look beautiful as they are on their own, just through nature. But when you got somebody that helps them out and keeps them well groomed and squared out and watered and vitamins and wiped down and all the proper products that you could put on these big leaves to make them look shiny, simply just dusting them and taking the dust off the leaves, that takes a lot of time and effort. So be nice to the plants, enjoy the plants, and if you have plants in your home or your office, hats off to you, because it takes a lot of work to make them look nice. That's going to do it for today's podcast. Thank you so much, video podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you got the audio version of this, I invite you over to the YouTube channel. You can get a visual version of this. And if you want to not watch it on YouTube because you don't want to be distracted, maybe you're at work or maybe you're doing the garden or going for a walk and you just want to check the audio version of these, you could always find the audio version in your favorite podcast app. Just search Mr. Albert Lopez, Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever. You'll find it there. Same handle, Mr. Albert Lopez, across all platforms, YouTube, social, the whole nine. Thank you for stopping by. Make it a great day. I'll see you on the next one.